I spent over $40,000 trying to figure out how to heal from mold illness. And I don't want you to have to go through the same search process like I did. My journey was exhausting. Multiple providers, confusion, fatigue, anxiety, depression, feeling misunderstood. If you've ever felt stuck with chronic illness, brain fog, unexplained symptoms, I know exactly how overwhelming it feels. It can be defeating. I learned what I would have done if I was starting now. Now, before I start this video, know that this is based on my personal journey and experience with mold illness. I'm not a doctor, and this content is not medical advice. Please consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making changes to your health, supplements, or treatment plan. Okay, so some of you may just now have discovered that you have mold illness. Others of you may have had symptoms for a long time and you don't know where to go, you don't know where to look. Others have been popping from provider to provider. You've probably been taking all the supplements, trying to learn by yourself online by looking at videos like this. Really, you're not going to get better unless you have a plan in place. You might see success here and there, but doing this by yourself is not an option. I can tell you that right now. So please do not try to do this by yourself. And some of you actually might be wondering if, there's what's wrong with you, right? You're trying to figure it out and you don't even know that you might have mold illness. And so you should, definitely get tested, do like a mycotoxin test to see kind of what could be going on from that perspective and see if you actually do have mold illness. So just to kind of tell you my journey, I would say about, September of 2025 right now. January of 2024, I started having some gut issues. And then my appetite wasn't there. I really couldn't eat. I was losing weight. I lost about 30 pounds. And then come July of 2025, I ruptured my Achilles. So just being involved with, exercise science and all that for some of my life, and just being very in tune with my body, I knew that something was wrong on a much more granular level that I could understand, because I knew there was inflammation, right, in my gut, in my Achilles. If you're feeling sore, if you're feeling like you're having gut issues, then you might have some mold or even parasites going on inside of you. I'm not a doctor, so I can't obviously tell you what that is, but this is where you need to start testing. If you're not testing, you're guessing. So what I'll tell you is when I started out, I was going to an alternative doctor. I just thought I was having some food sensitivity issues, and we did a gut test. It showed sensitive to gluten, eggs, cheese, dairy, all that good stuff. And we started putting some things in place. I started taking some herbs, stopped eating foods, was doing a few, diets to try to just understand what was going to work for me, essentially. And I think it was the FODMAP diet, no FODMAP diet is what I did. And nothing was getting better. Nothing was getting better. I was still foggy. I couldn't think. I couldn't work. I didn't want to work out. I've always been super active. I was very anxious, like fight or flight every single day when I woke up, 24/7. Anything you could possibly think of that would worry you was worrying me, to a T. Like I had never felt this before, and it was, scary. I started calling family in the morning, at night, because I didn't know if I'd get to the next day. I didn't know what was going on. And then about 6 weeks after my Achilles was ruptured, I looked up at my vent and there was black mold growing out of it. And then I walked into my closet and there was green mold everywhere on the walls. And from there, we had to take action, and we had to call environmentalists to come check out the mold, test it, and yeah, that's for another time. I can tell you the process there, but right now, your biggest step is to get out of where you're at right now, if you know that there's mold in there. But my process was get the heck out. I went, stayed in an Airbnb, and then I stayed with some friends for, at their home for a little bit over a month while my place was getting remediated. And during that time, I was just really intensely anxious, depressed, scared. And so one of the first things I did was, I'd done a lot of research on and I do have some PTSD, some situational PTSD, from my past, but, it was never debilitating. And, I figured, I did some research on ketamine, assisted ketamine. I did ketamine in an assisted place, and it was very professional. I did get a little bit out of that experience, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. So that was one of the first things I had done because I wanted to, get my thoughts straight. Well, yeah, it doesn't really work when mold's in your body, getting that fully taken care of because you still have those toxins inside your body. So my alternative doctor at the time, she had a referral to a retreat that I could go to here where I live. And essentially what I did was, a 5-pass, 10-pass blood. So essentially they take your blood, they oxygenate it, clean it out, and then put it back in your body. And it takes a long time. So I did that. I did NAD infusions. I did light therapy infusions, intravenous. I did Myers cocktail infusions while I was there. I fasted for 4 days. And then I never guessed that this would be part of the healing journey, but and I didn't know this was going to happen. It just kind of landed right in front of me, but there was a psychedelic ceremony experience, which I will talk about in one of my later videos, which helped from the fear perspective and just existence in general. It was a beautiful experience, and I will definitely talk about that in one of my other videos. So yeah, I went to the retreat. I had lost a ton of weight at that point. I wasn't feeling good. I went back to my family in Iowa, and there was a woman there that one of my family members came in touch with, that her daughter, same thing happened to her. She had mold illness. Her daughter was living in Florida during college. Home was infested with mold. And so she moved back up to Iowa, and her mom started taking care of her. Her mom was a doctor, a chiropractic kinesiologist, which I'll talk about here in a second. But she had to really learn how to treat mold. And so her daughter came up, and her daughter was actually going to school for that exact same thing that her mom was doing. And now she's a doctor at the facility. So a lot of herbal work, a lot of homeopathic, a lot of technologies that they used there. And that really helped me get to a certain place. It helped me get out of just the rut I was in. It got me into my body I was feeling much better, probably like a month to 2 months out progressively. It was not easy. This does take work. So just know that, be patient with yourself, and know that one day at a time is so important. You have to keep that mindset, one day at a time, and you have to do all the healthy habits. And then after that experience, I guess during that experience, I was doing infrared, cold sauna, cold plunge. I also met with some therapists, because, the mental part of this, people don't really understand how you feel when this is happening. Just the chemicals are imbalanced. There's a lot going on in your body. And that's the thing that's the most frustrating. So if you're feeling that, just know that I understand, I get it. And there are people who are going to understand it if you get in touch with the right people. It's really hard for family to understand what this feels like, because many people haven't really felt this in their life. So just know that if you get in touch with the right people, they will understand. And then, the other thing I was doing was, just really good habits. But I ended up coming back to Austin, and I found another chiropractic kinesiologist that's here for a few months. I'm still seeing her, but I would say it got to a point where I just couldn't get over the hump. And I hadn't done tests for a number of months. I had initially done like a gut test and some blood tests, but I hadn't, and mycotoxin to see what mold was in my system. And I was the best I can explain it is like every 2.5 weeks, I was kind of taking a step back. Right, I would take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and it was that 1 step. Like I couldn't eat. I felt horrible. The best way to describe it is if I had a period, if I knew what that was like from a woman's perspective, that's probably what it feels like, and possibly worse, just because of there is something actually imbalanced in your brain, and I don't know how that works with with females and their hormones, but I can imagine it's fairly similar. But yeah, so I was like, how can I get myself over the hump? And I wasn't being told to do any additional tests. They were just kind of giving me, herbal supplements at that point, doing some technology stuff. So I was like, I need to talk to somebody who's been through this themselves, that does this work. So I wound up finding somebody online. His name's Evan Brand. Him and his team's really great. You can search Evan Brand. It spelled just like it sounds. But my next step was to, get a couple tests done just to kind of see what's going on with my cells, my mitochondria, the deeper stuff. And I am currently actually waiting on those results now. And that's where I'm at, trying to get over the hump. But, I think if I would have known exactly what to do earlier on, I would have had a much better blueprint. But that's why we do this, right? People like me go through this so I can help you out, and give you some direction and where you should start. So I'm happy, there is that aspect that I'm grateful that I can help whoever out who's on the other side of this. So that's my experience with my own journey. I also did hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and it was medical grade oxygen chamber, and I had to get a prescription for that. I did about 20 sessions, and so I just did a lot. I probably didn't have to do all those things. If I would have known where to go initially, then and had a really, really good blueprint, then I probably could have shortened the process a little bit. But still healing. It's going to be I know this journey goes for a while, and sometimes I think I was in the mold for probably, I don't know, 2 years, and I was breathing in spores, so that obviously takes takes a little bit of time to heal, and usually maybe 16 to 24 or 18 to 24 months. So anyways, that's where I'm at. Now I really want to get into what I would do in your position, where you're at now, if you just don't know where to go. So step number 1, get out of your current house if it has mold exposure. If you're not sure if it has mold exposure, get a test. Look it up on Google, mold test company, something like that. So important. You have to get out, because you're not going to heal until you get out of that place. You're going to continue to grow the mold spores. What happens with mold when it gets in your body is it starts to colonize, so it spreads around your body, and it just continues until you start getting a hold of it. Next, find a provider. I would say a chiropractic kinesiologist. I'm going to put a link down in the notes so you can find somebody. And then, or find a mold specialist. I would look up Evan Brands, like I said, look up his content or search experienced mold illness practitioners or providers on Google. Just make sure that these people have either lived it themselves or have worked with a lot of people. You want to make sure that you do that research because you don't want to be paying a ton of money, left and right. And so if anybody feels like they're going to push supplements on you like crazy, stop them there. If somebody's going to tell you, okay, let's get some tests first, let's see what's going on, or you let them know, hey, this is how I work. I don't want to be pushed supplements. I want to look at tests and get these done and see where I'm at, and then go from there. If you have somebody that's cool with that and they have the experience, you've done the research, then great. I think that's awesome. States that have probably some of these people, I would say Florida, Texas, maybe Georgia, some of the other southern states, there's probably a lot of mold. So, and I'm assuming some of these people do, remote work, which I've experienced myself. So, step 3, testing. Like I said, ask your provider about running tests. If you're not testing, you're guessing. And that's something I learned along this journey. Like I said, the organic acids test is probably something you want to do. So I'm going to have all these again in the link below, just what you're going to want to ask for. So that looks at your cellular health. You probably want to get a gut test if you're having some gut issues, so they can look at your sensitivities and your microbiome. And then also blood tests as well, which are going to show the overall impact that it's making throughout your body. Next is step 4, which is the supplements I would have taken to make me feel more energized and kind of get me back on my feet. The first one I would say is grass-fed beef organs. Unless you're cooking and eating fresh organs, you're missing out on critical nutrients like iron, zinc, B vitamins. I actually put this in a smoothie for myself in the morning. My smoothie is I actually get cachava, if you know what that is. And then I also do coconut culture, which have probiotics, and I do coconut milk as well, and then wild blueberries. And then also I put L-glutamine in that mix as well, which protects your gut lining. So that's a good little breakfast. You don't taste the grass-fed beef organ pills like when you put them in there. They don't taste like anything. So, and then next I would say a nicotine patch. Buy a 7 milligram and then cut it in half for 3.5 milligram, which significantly helps energy. And then amino acids and electrolytes, which have been a huge help for me. Those support detox, hydration, tissue repair. I take that first thing in the morning, 8 to 16 ounces of water. I have my amino acids. I just chug it first thing in the morning. And then I'll also put, like I said, the L-glutamine, sometimes I'll put that in that amino acid water as well. And then magnesium, I take before bed. Well, I would say probably 60 minutes before bed for relaxation and sleep. And then activated charcoal. So I usually take activated charcoal maybe an hour after I take the magnesium. Because if you take it right at the same time or right before magnesium, then you're going to pull out, that magnesium is not going to kind of like absorb into your system. But activated charcoal is meant for binding toxins. It grabs onto pesticides and heavy metals. So really, really important in this process is activated charcoal and then a multivitamin. I'm going to put all these products, the links to all these products in the link below or in the description below. So if you're waiting on a doctor, this is like, I would recommend, again, not a doctor, but I would recommend doing these things because they're going to make you feel just a little bit better. They're going to be good for your body. This is where I would start right now. Okay, step 5. Adhere to these daily rules. These are musts. Do not do them. So no alcohol, no seed oils, no refined sugars, No negative energy. That means news, music, people, cut them out. You don't need those, especially when you're going through what you're going through. Hydrate throughout the day, 100%. Make sure that you do that. So important for your body, no matter who you are. Step 6, final step, is adhere to these daily habits. You definitely want to do all of these during the week or daily, depending on what it is. But first things first, 8 to 16 ounces of water, first thing when you wake up in the morning. First thing, just chug some water. So important. And I like to put electrolytes and amino acids right in the morning as well, which is really important. Mix that in, solid, got to do it. Also, morning sunlight before 9 a.m. Make sure you get up, get out into the sun. So important for your body. Gentle movement, working out, yoga, walking, light. Your system is probably compromised right now if you're not really feeling good. So don't push yourself too hard, because you're not going to be able to repair things the way that you're at right now in the way that you probably would have in the past. So, or at the pace that you would have in the past. So give your body some grace, but you want to move. You want to get your body moving for sure. Epsom salt baths, I would say 3 times a week, 20 minutes each. You can do maybe like 3 or 4 cups of Epsom salt with lavender oil and black cumin oil, maybe 20 drops each. So just make sure you get a scrub for the tub. The black cumin seed or the black cumin oil can kind of make some marks on there, so you want to clean it off with soap. But 30 to 60 minutes of wind down time before bed. You want to shut down your phones, get rid of that blue light, the phones, TVs, shut them off 30 to 60 minutes before bed. I like to read before bed when I was going through this, and I still, to this day, I have a ton of books that I've read during this whole experience, which has helped me in itself. So make sure that you do that. And then to sleep by 9 p.m. You really want to get a good sleep, and you want to get up early in the morning when the sun comes up. All of these things, are going to be in the description below. Please start to do these things. It's going to make a world of a difference for you. I'm cheering you on. I know where you're at, whatever stage it is. It's not fun, but keep the positivity going. Positive thoughts are going to manifest into positive healing for you. So please, if you have any questions, put them down in the comments. If you have any curious questions that you want to ask me, please put them down there. If there's a video you'd like to see about my experience and a topic in general, I'd love to talk about whatever it is that you're curious about. But yeah, please start, if you want in the link below, any of those supplements you want to get, they're down there. And anything else that I can help you with, let me know. Otherwise, if you could subscribe, I got to make sure I ask for that because I'm new here. But I love spreading the messages that I'm spreading to help whoever it is out there. It's all meant to just put good out in the world and try to help people along this journey that we call life. And sometimes we run into these little speed bumps, but you're going to get through. Just know that. I went through the Achilles rupture, a breakup, had to switch jobs, and this mold illness, all while trying to sell a condo as well at the same time and having to move out into living in a studio. A lot of things, I could have said went south for me, but really this experience has been the biggest teacher in my life by far. And I know how you're feeling. If you're just going through one of those things, my heart goes out to you because none of it's easy. But just know if somebody can go through 4, 5, 6 things at one time and get through it to the other side, you got this. I know you do. You've got this.